Hi, West Ham fans. So last night, West Ham under 18 team beat Arsenal under 18s in the FA Youth Cup final by a very convincing margin of 5 goals to 1. Uh, yeah, for those that were there, it was a fantastic performance and gritty performance from the lads at times. The away support was phenomenal. 7,000 fans went along to watch West Ham lift the trophy in Arsenal's backyard in front of an attendance of 31,000. If you were there, you would certainly have thought it was a home game for West Ham based on the noise. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. And we're just going to do a little match review of what was a phenomenal performance and achievement by our under 18s. So, yeah, stay tuned. So, West Ham, as we say, won the Youth Cup. What a brilliant achievement. This is probably the most prestigious cup at the under 18 level. We haven't won this cup since 1999, and a couple of players everyone probably will know that came out of that team was Joe Cole and Michael Carrick. So, you often find the FA Youth Cup winners, one or two players from those teams often go on to be first team players at any club they're at. So there is a very good reason for us to be positive, not just about winning it, but by the fact that there is potentially one or two, maybe even more future stars in that 11 that played last night. And obviously my voice sounds a little bit hoarse because I was there last night. So please do bear with me. But yeah, we went into the game after a really convincing win against Southampton. Obviously, played them at our ground. Arsenal had a really tough game against Manchester City. I think they also went down 10 men in that game and won that almost in the last minute. So, whilst we were favourites, Arsenal obviously came from a very hard tie, and Arsenal do have a very good youth team, despite being much lower than us in the league this year. Obviously, we were league champions as well of the South. So, all in all, it's a brilliant season capped off by another fantastic achievement. And we started the game okay. We had a decent opportunity from a corner, but it was headed over. But after that, Arsenal kind of got on the ball. They were really good in possession, and they consistently put us under the cosh in those early stages. Terry pulled off a fantastic save from a free kick, I think from Wozniak of Arsenal, and ultimately then the pressure told in that early stage, and rightly so. Arsenal took the lead, and it was very much they were worth their lead. In the opening 10 minutes or so, Arsenal were the better team, and it was a really good kind of burst out from the defence from Arsenal. Their centre back came steamrolling through our midfield, and obviously off the rebound, Benjamin then manages to convert the ball past Terry. But after that, we seemed to start to settle. We started to grow into the game, and George Murphy was fantastic from from pretty much from that period on. He was absolutely brilliant. He's a real little gem. If I was to compare him to anyone in the team, he's a bit like a Lanzini in the sense that he will pick up the ball, he can take it past players, likes to get into that final third and actually influence the game, and actually looks to try and not only score goals, but also link play, bring other players in, and look to kind of set others up. And he had a brilliant opportunity after Divine Mbamba, won a header. It's kind of put down into Murphy's path, whose pass into Kadua was blocked, but again he just carries on, collects the ball, and then unleashes a thunderous shot from the right-hand side of the penalty area, and then just absolutely levers it into kind of the middle top corner. The goalkeeper had absolutely no chance. It was a fantastic finish, and Devine was leading that line so well. He gave the likes of Kadua and Marshall all of the space that they needed because he occupied it, 1 to 2 defenders at times, because just his movement, his willingness to challenge and get up there made it difficult for those Arsenal defenders, because obviously because we had Kadua and Marshall who were absolutely tireless. They were constantly pulling players around and obviously looking to get in the channels. And at that stage, I actually tweeted during the game that if we could get hold of this midfield, we were in the game. And within 2 minutes of us scoring that equaliser, again, we get the ball. It's played into Kadura in the right side, and he plays in a beautiful ball right across the 6-yard area for Marshall just to ghost it in completely unmarked and tap the ball in past the goalkeeper. And at that point, we were good value. We came back into the game. We were really strong, and we were looking really good. And Arsenal were kind of shell shocked, really, at that point. Now they continued to play some decent football. They had the thing with Arsenal; they've got so much pace. It was very much what you would expect of an Arsenal team, and very much what you expect of Arsenal. They were a highly technical team with a lot of pace. West Ham were very industrious, very hardworking. We do have a lot of technical players. We do also have some decent pace as well. So it was quite well matched. But Arsenal, by and large, controlled the game. They were very tidy in possession. We would make some sloppy passes, but we were trying to attack. We were trying to kind of play those maybe higher risk passes, which was really nice to see. And there was a good ebb and flow in the first half. As I say, the fans were massively behind. It was quite funny. There was good banter from the fans to the Arsenal fans. What was quite interesting, quite amusing, was Arsenal had a drum on one end to kind of get some sort of atmosphere, but yet it was still drowned out by the West Ham fans who, were in incredible voice. I think had we had the opportunity to have more than 7,000, I think we would have taken more. And I can't praise our away fans enough, and the lads on the pitch absolutely in kind repaid that and played up to that. And we kind of got into the second half. Arsenal had a couple of good chances again. Sorry, before we even got second half, Kadua scored an absolutely outrageous goal. And when you watch the highlights, it's so much better than what it was when we were there. When you're there, it's just like, what a goal. But yeah, it was a mistake by the Arsenal centre-back. He's tried to play the ball and completely misses it, and Kadua just burst forward. And then he noticed the goalkeeper off his line. So he seems to check back at first and was like, what was he doing? And then he unleashes a 35-yard chip over the goalkeeper into the back of the net to make it 3-1 in the first 42 minutes. And at that stage, you were looking again, well, this game could be over. We're in such control now, especially on the scoreboard. We may not have been necessarily as in control with the ball at times, but we were in control where it mattered, and that was on the scoreboard. And we went into the end of that first half feeling really confident, looking really good. And obviously then coming out into the second half, Arsenal really kind of tried to take the game by the bit of the teeth. Down their right-hand side came most of their attacks. But again, Ollie Charles defended pretty much everything. They had incredible pace in their wings, but Ollie Charles and Bertram defended brilliantly. And when they were beaten, then Terry made some great saves as well in goal. So the whole team worked so incredibly hard in which to ensure that we got the win, and they put themselves on the line. Arsenal had some great half chances, but again, players would either put their bodies on the line. It was almost like you shall not pass kind of defending at times. We just were constantly putting bodies in the way, constantly throwing ourselves at the feet of Arsenal players to block, to apply pressure. It was really dogged defending and really dogged play. And that's not to say that we didn't have our own, opportunities on the ball and so on. We had a really good opportunity for Orford at a free kick. It took a deflection and then literally just went wide. with another opportunity where, again, Earthy picks up the ball on the edge of the area and releases a rasping shot. So, fantastic save by their goalkeeper. And as I say, there was quite a good ebb and flow. Arsenal had most of the ball, a lot of good control, and were testing. But whenever we had an opportunity, or if we had a clearer opportunity, we took it. We did not waste our chances as much as Arsenal did. And the set pieces were always a constant danger for Arsenal. We played it really kind of deep to the back post most of the time, and also almost on top of the goalkeeper at times. And it finally came to fruition in the 17th minute when Casey gets up really well at the back post and just powers it in that secured it. The 78th minute, that was it. It was game over. Everyone knew it. The West Ham crowd, all 7,000, were in amazing voice, obviously knowing that was pretty much it. And then young Briggs comes on and gets a fairy tale start, or a fairy tale a moment in his first touch of the ball, again from a corner, makes great contact, and it goes past the goalkeeper. What a way to come onto the pitch and announce yourself in the FA Cup or Youth Cup final, to come on and get the kind of the last minute goal to make it 5-1, and with your first touch, it was brilliant. And at that stage, obviously, it's fair to say the fans were elated, the players were elated. They knew it was all done and dusted, obviously. And it was great to see the lads as well celebrating with the fans coming over at the end. And it's a great way to cap what has been a phenomenal season for those young lads. To obviously win the Youth Cup and obviously win the Youth Cup South, and then to win what is probably the most prestigious cup you can win at that level in the FA Cup was absolutely superb, and they deserve every single credit. Now, the good thing is, as we say, you tend to see one or two players who kind of get into this game or win this trophy. You tend to see some come through. Now, it is harsh maybe to pick out players and say, "Oh, I think this one's going to make it or not," but there are some players in there who I think probably now working towards maybe deserving an opportunity in the final games of the season off the bench. Hopefully we'll be safe in the next couple of weeks, and then we can maybe go into the last couple of games of the season and give one or two of these lads a bit of a try. Ideally as well, if there are players that we know we're not going to retain next year, then we bring one or two of these lads in as opposed to them, and let's see what they can do. We need to know whether we can rely on, whether they're going to be good players or not for us in the first team. So should we, in the next few weeks, secure our safety, I think one more win and we are secure. I know results last night maybe didn't go completely our way in that respect, if you're looking at belts and braces type of approach and feeling comfortable. But one more win probably does secure our safety. And then it could be a great opportunity in which to see what the likes of Kadua can do. Obviously, we've already seen Divine make a couple of appearances. Again, whilst we don't have Skamaka, we want to obviously keep Danny Ings and Antonio fit in the final run-ins, particularly if we're looking to get to the Europa Conference final. Divine could be a fantastic player to bring on for about 15, 20 minutes if we're in a good position to, again, see what he can do, see how he can lead the line in the Premier League, or, again, play him up front with the likes of Danny Ings and see how he can work. Again, Kadua on the right-hand side is incredibly industrious, got good power, good strength. He likes to score goals. He's confident as well, getting ahead. Earthy is another player to look out for. He technically is very, very proficient, moves with the ball brilliantly, really graceful as the way he kind of glides around the pitch. Again, another player who's confident if put in front of goal, and has been doing incredibly well this season. And again, we're at the left back, we've also got Ollie Charles as well. So there's no reason why we shouldn't see one or two of these lads before the end of the season. Again, it would be a great way to reward them for what has been a fantastic year. And I think that's ultimately what it has to be. It has to be an acknowledgement of what they've achieved this season and a reward for everything that they've managed to achieve this year. Obviously, our last game at home is against Leeds. Now, that could be a pivotal game for Leeds. And if we're not safe by that point, it could also be a pivotal game for us. So it may be difficult then to give these lads a run out. But as I say, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we secure the win to do that. And one of the things that should be a positive out of this is the fact that because of these lads have had such a phenomenally good season in the under 18s, and obviously won the cup, that next year, if they do not have a part to play in our first team, I'm not also talking about the first 11, I'm talking about the first team in general, then they should be able to secure good loan options in the summer, preferably in the Championship, and get to play. And if I was to kind of play Earthy to an existing young player in the Championship, I would say he's very much similar in many ways to Alex Scott. He's a player that West Ham been linked to. He's a player that I think would be fantastic at West Ham as well. And someone also has said that in the past would be like a Lanzini replacement. I certainly think Earthy is the exact same kind of type of player. Probably needs a bit more on the defensive side, but from his ability with the ball, he has everything you would want to see in a player in that he's confident when he gets ball into possession, can take the ball in tight spaces, really good kind of turn radius as well. Great technique when he's shooting, complete, composure, very combative as well, despite being a fairly, kind of not the tallest player, not the biggest, but again, he's still maturing as a young man anyway. So, that will change. But he's one of the players that did stand out. So Earthy was West Ham's number 8 last night. We're also going to put, as part of this video, we're going to put the link as well to the highlights. So if you haven't seen the game and you want to see the goals and want to see what happened, watch the highlights. You'll see Earthy has a couple of great opportunities within that game and was probably one of the standout players for West Ham, as well as, Kadua led that team incredibly well. He leads by example. He chases everything, incredibly industrious. And it's one of those things where you look at the team and you go, well, maybe we don't need to invest in the summer as much if we're willing to actually invest in our own. And maybe is the time within the next year or two to really invest in a couple of these players. Personally, I do think the likes of Charles, Earthy, Mbama, and Kadua are probably destined to have at least some sort of opportunity at West Ham. There are other players who, like Marshall, for instance, is incredibly hardworking, could have a chance as well. He's also very natural in front of goal. And throughout the team, there are players who could make a case for themselves. It's all now down to application and dedication. A prime example of a player who was never really viewed as going to be the one. He was the last player to get an apprenticeship at West Ham, Declan Rice, for instance, wasn't deemed good enough for Chelsea and was also deemed just about good enough to get the scholarship, was the last one to get that. And through his desire to improve and dedication to get better and wanting to achieve, we got the player we have now. So even players that I haven't necessarily mentioned, there's every chance that they'll get their chance or they can have a chance at West Ham or even somewhere else. But it's all now down to application. They've now made a case for themselves to kind of really push on. And another player that I actually want to give a special mention for was Clayton. Last night, he was brilliant at centre-back. Despite considering his size, he was not exactly the tallest, but he was brilliant in that defence alongside Casey, who, again, had a very good, strong performance. And I think it's difficult really to say, this player, that player deserves their opportunity because they all were fantastic. And the hope is come next season that this team is going to get disbanded. Quite frankly, some of them are going to go up in a level to next year. They're going to go into the under 21s and not be part of this under 18s as much. But some of them also will need to go out on loan. And that's ideally what will happen is a majority of these lads will be put out on loan next season and on loan where they're going to be guaranteed minutes, because that's what we now need to see. We now need to see that these young lads are developing first team football. I do think there will be some interest in them because of how well they played this year, how they've run away with the title, how they run away with this game in terms of winning 5-1 against Arsenal, who's a very prestigious academy. And the future is very bright. If we are willing to invest in our own, we do have some great players. The reason why I'd be happy not to replace Cresswell is because I would happily see Ollie Charles given an opportunity in that team. Again, why would I be happy to even see if Antonio went to not invest in a new one and deal with and accept having Skamaka and Danny Ings? It's because again, Devon Mabamba, I would quite happily see Lanzini going again, having the likes of Earthy coming through to develop as well, and then finally Kudua. I would happily see him as an option to Bowen. We keep saying that we want to invest in the championship. We want to invest in championship players because they've always done well for us. But we've also got to develop our youth. And there's no reason why we shouldn't look at those 4 lads or even 2 or 3 of those and say, next season, you're going to be part of our first team. Maybe obviously not the first 11, but you'll be part of the first team. And give them the exposure to the Premier League. Give them exposure, hopefully, in Europa League. See what they're made of. Because if we decide to develop our own, not only does it save us a lot of money in the transfer market, but it also means you may be unearth essentially the next Declan Rice. Maybe not to the same quality level because Declan Rice is world class, but you develop a kinship with a player and an identity with the club. And it brings back what we've always identified as West Ham as being the Academy of Football. And last night, the Academy of Football were fantastic. They beat Arsenal 5-1. And you've got to say it will be fantastic to see these young lads now given the opportunity towards the end of this season and then next year, whether that be at West Ham or on loan, to really show what they're about. And if they can continue to develop, then we probably could have 1 or 2 stars for the future at West Ham. But I'm going to end it there. As I say, last night was fantastic. The lads were incredible. Deserve every single credit for what has been a fantastic season. There is no 2 ways about it. It's been absolutely amazing. And the fans were brilliant. Back them, I can't praise the fans enough. The crowd were beyond amazing, and we could have easily sold more than 7,000 last night. And we made what was effectively a away game feel like a home game for those young lads. And they paid us in kind with a brilliant 5-1 win and winning the FA Youth Cup for the first time since 1999. And last time we did that, we obviously saw a couple of good players coming out of that in Joe Cole and Michael Carrick. So let's hope that we can see maybe a few more this time coming through. But we're going to leave it there. Obviously, we have Liverpool tonight. Hopefully tonight we can secure another win. If we can secure that win tonight against Liverpool, which will be a very big ask, but if we can do that, we will be safe. And then maybe we can then see Moyes looking to reward these young irons and giving them a chance to show what they're about. Maybe put them in the shop window for a loan next season, or again to maybe see if 1 or 2 of these lads can get a chance between now and the end of the year to make a case and a point for them being part of the setup next year for the first team. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you do like this video, please do like, please do subscribe as well. Please do share, all of those wonderful things. And as ever, come on, you irons.